Well, welcome folks to another one of the 2019 C.A.R.B inductee videos, and tonight we're going to have Sharon, Don's husband, and her daughter Lisa, hers and Don's daughter Lisa, and their son Donnie sitting down with us. And Sharon, I guess the first thing I want to say is congratulations to you and your family for Don being inducted into the C.A.R.B Hall of Fame, a man that really was very popular with many of the area people in racing. I mean, not only dirt oval, but also drag racing, and I'm sure he made some motors for some other people, but the family just has to be really pleased with this.
Yes, we are. We're very proud, and he would have been honored to have all this.
Like I say, just a guy that, I used to see you guys at I-35, Lakeside, just about most of the places that I went. Do you know how old Don was when he first started following his dad around the tracks?
He was pretty young. I think, he was pretty young as a little boy. I know he went when his dad was doing that. And then he was probably, we were married when he started going to the racetrack with Gene Claxton and all that. And he was 17 at that time.
I presume he took you along at some
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I was going to say that's just kind of a thing.
Always with him.
Yeah, always with him. At 16, Don bought a 57 Chevy. Sharon, was it a two-door hardtop like most of those really classy cars were in those days, or was it something else?
It was a four-door. It was just very plain. It was one of the cheaper ones that he had bought from his dad, because his dad ended up with the 64 Impala, so Don got the 57 Chevy.
Oh man, he stepped up to that Impala, didn't he?
Yeah, he had it lowered. He had it raised in the front and lowered in the back.
That was kind of the thing of the day, as I recall. But was that all that he had done to hop it up?
Yeah, well, he changed it from an automatic to a stick, a 3-speed stick is what he did.
Yeah. My brother had a 3-speed stick. I think I know why he did it, because it would do 105 in second gear. So
yeah, it was a little faster.
For the quarter mile, that was probably all he needed, was those two gears. You went along on several of these trips, I understand, and you were actually in the car during some of these races, and Lisa was also along for the ride.
Yeah, I held her down at the old drag strip on Front Street. They used to signal us off with a flag, and I always had her with me, and I held on to her, and we'd go down the track, and I thought, oh, this is dangerous, but I went, and I held her.
And if I recall, that was before seatbelts.
Yes.
Even a lap belt.
Yeah, there was no seatbelts. You just hang on,
I presume, was the old drag strip there off Front Street, was that his drag strip of choice, or did he race out at KCIR also?
He did. He raced at KCR. We was there opening day in '65, I think it was. And because he raced there because Front Street had closed down. And so the new drag strip was KCIR, and we was there opening day, and there all the time. We actually halfway lived there. I mean, every time it was open, we were there.
It kind of sounds like nowadays with oval track racing. Yeah. Seems like we're there all the time.
Yeah.
In 1995, your dad teamed up with Wayne Green, and the two of them got a big win at the Super Comp division at Heartland Park with a championship at that track. Can you tell me just a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. We won, and we outran a dragster, and Wayne didn't have any stickers on his car, and the sponsor said if he'd have had stickers on his car, he'd have gotten a lot more money, and at that time, he only won $800 because he didn't have no stickers on his car. So then after that, it was stickered up. He had all kinds.
Just shows you what that money does, doesn't it? Just
what the
adds
sponsors told him, said just one would help you get more money, so.
Yeah. It sounds like a pair of dart racing heads kind of got involved in one of your anniversary gifts.
It was, we was married 20 years, and it was on a Sunday, and I always wanted a set of diamond earrings. And he had the money to get me my diamond earrings, so we went to the track, and he says, we'll go get these Monday. And then some guy had a set of dart heads, and I will never forget that. He looks at me, he goes, dear, we need these heads. And I said, well, what for? Because I'm going to have to use your money for your earrings. So I said, okay, what's new? But I got the earrings, though, too.
Racing and racing engines was Don's whole life, excluding family, of course. But building and seeing his engines perform on the tracks across the Midwest and beyond was the result of his life in action. His name and reputation will live on as long as motors rev up to their limits and racers and race cars go as fast as they can. Congratulations again, Sharon, on Don's induction into the Hall of Fame. And like I say, it's got to be a really proud moment for your
we
family.
are, the whole family is. And his sisters and the brother-in-laws were really proud of him. He deserved it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sharon, who had the biggest impact on Don's life, would he say?
I would say one main thing is his children. He adored his children, and he wanted a son. And when I was pregnant with little Don, I said, it's got to be a boy. God help me, it's got to be a boy. Because we didn't have Lisa, and thank God it was a boy. And he forgot that I was sitting in the car when he brought me home, and I couldn't hardly walk. And he grabbed the baby, went in the house, and I'm still sitting there. So I had to get myself out of the car and go in the door. So that his kids was the main thing.
Who was Don's hero in the racing world?
I would think, looking back at everything, I know he looked up to his dad a lot. Sometimes him and his dad didn't agree on everything, but I think he had his dad, and then when our son started racing, our son was his whole life racing. So I'm going to say our son.
What do you think Don would like to be remembered for?
His racing career, building the engines. He enjoyed it more building the engines than he did racing himself. He really enjoyed when our son took it up. He kind of wished that Lisa got into it sooner because she liked it when she got older. But his proudest moment is when little Don was racing.
If he could relive one moment in his life, be it to enjoy it over again or to do it differently, which moment would you say he might pick?
As far as the racing career?
Any moment.
Okay. The other thing that he really enjoys, when we first opened our business, he was so good at it when he was doing it on the side or doing it for free, and he's making all these guys fast and not making anything for it, and he'd go out of his way to help anybody. He'd close our shop down to go help a lot of people, and he did that for Nick Vinegar. And he did it for a couple other guys so they could race come Saturday or Friday night.
If people were to say two character traits that represented Don, what do you feel that those might be?
There were several. I mean, there's no anything specific, I don't think. He just loved the racing. He loved drag racing, and then he loved the dirt track racing. I mean, if he could have went the last 6 months, he would have went, because we tried several times, and he got sick on the way, so we had to stay home. But racing, besides his children, was his whole life.
All right. I think that's all.
Lisa, when you were 5 or 6 years old, and you remember your dad racing at the old Lakeside Speedway, when he talks about his dad letting him get into the race car, what do you remember about that?
Him rolling the back straight. I'll never forget that. That was my most vivid memory of that. Because I remember, because he didn't really race that much. I think a couple of races. But I think this was the first night, I think. He rolled the back straightaway. And I just was like, you know, being a kid, you're just like, oh, that was cool. And that's kind of the expression I have. When I turned back around to Mom, she had dropped her keys. Like, she said, oh my God.
Uh-huh.
I looked at it like, that was so cool. And then Fred Brodsky was standing behind us, and he goes, no, that wasn't. And then Dad got out later that night. We talked to him. He was not fazed by it. He was ready to get back in. He said, that was cool. He goes, let's do it again.
And he did go back the second week, and what happened?
I don't remember. Really
you don't remember that?
No, I just remember that roll because it was like, Dad rolled, that was so cool. I wasn't worried if he was hurt or anything because he just went boom, boom, boom. It wasn't like a real bad, it was kind of a little slower.
Yeah.
But I thought that was just so cool. My dad's out there rolling.
Yeah. You thought it was just part of the race.
Yeah, you're a kid, because when you're a kid, you like the wrecks. I mean, you think, oh, I just hope somebody just wrecked because you want to see all the pileups. You're not thinking about, because you're a kid, you're not thinking about anybody getting hurt. So.
Yeah. Now that you look back on it, first of all, do you remember what kind of a car it was? Or
I don't know. It was like I can remember. I don't remember. I don't even. Was it a Chevelle mom? I don't remember. What was it?
What was that?
Dad raced at Lakeside.
Where he rolled over.
I think it was an old Chevelle.
I think it was a Chevelle because it was '88. It was orange. It was the orange one, right? Yeah, it was the orange '88. That's why Donnie had '88 for his car.
Yeah, okay.
It's a family deal. So.
Okay. Lisa, with your photography, you're honoring your dad's memory. I know it's got to be a labor of love for you because I can see the emotion and everything that you put into that and how it appeals to the fans. So you do that in memory of your dad.
Oh, absolutely. So, like last year, I dedicated it to him because Donnie and Mom are not as active in it, especially Donnie, because Donnie built motors with him for almost his whole entire life. And I wanted his name to be remembered. I wanted his legacy to be remembered. I mean, I know people won't forget him, but I want to make sure Burlington is involved in the racing some point or another. If it's me taking pictures and posting on social media or whatever, that's what I'm going to do to honor him. Because it's not just about me, it's about my family.
Yeah.
And his legacy, so.
It's so true. Every time I look at one, I think, whoop, Burlington.
Yeah, because, and he was, you know, Dad had his own way, a certain way of telling he was proud of you and what you did. And he was very, you know, towards the end, because I had said to him, like, I don't know, Dad, if I can do this after you're gone. Because it's just going to be too hard to be at a track, because that's what we did. It's a family deal. It truly is a family deal. Where you find one, you find the other.
Right.
And he's like, well, you know, you're good at what you do. He goes, I don't want you to stop because I'm not here anymore. He goes, but it's up to you. I said, okay, but it's going to be hard because he always sat in turn 4. And I always still look up there, and then I do all this before I go out there. And, you know, it's not, this is not about me, it's about my family, about his name and his legacy, so.
Changing it up a little bit here on you.
Right on.
Lisa, I know you're a believer in signs, as you've
Yes,
shared.
yes.
Would you feel comfortable enough to share anything that you might feel might have been communicated to you since your father's passing that you felt was a sign that either things were okay or he's trying to tell you something?
Yeah, the day that we brought his ashes home, I was, you know, which was very hard, you know. We have this back deck, and we've lived there for 20 years, and I was getting ready for work, and there was these 2 pigeons. I've never seen a bird land on the top deck ever. And I was getting ready for work, and I just have to look outside the door. This one turns around to me and just looks at me, and is looking at me for a long time. And the wind is blowing like hard. I'm thinking, how are these pigeons staying on there? One day he just turned around and looked at me for a long time, and then I knew. You know, Mom even had an incident here recently, so. But yeah, that was the first sign that I know he's okay. He's good, and he's always around us. He's done it to me the track too, because he and Mom both worried about me being out there, because it is very dangerous out there. People don't realize that, but it's very dangerous out there. Well, I don't know, maybe it was July. I was getting in turn 4 at Lakeside. I got a little brave, because you do that sometimes. It's a false sense of security. And it was muggy, hot, no wind. And I kid you not, all of a sudden this wind came, and I got out there, this wind came up, and I knew that was Dad. Telling you need to get back, Marie, Lisa Marie. And I kid you not, that very next lap, after the caution, there was a wreck there. Like 3 or 4 B mods ran right where I was just at. So I knew that was him.
That's neat.
He looks after all of us. I feel him, so he'd be proud of this.
What do you feel is something that you take with you throughout the rest of your life that your dad may have instilled in you?
Love of racing. I mean, and you know, be humble. Don't you know, be good at what you do and be humble. Don't be out there, you know, being a braggart. He was a very humble person. I mean, he was good, but he didn't go around saying, "Look at me, I'm good." You know, that being humble and just being, you know, involved in racing, because that's what he loved, and we all love it. So I think that's it. Yeah.
Well, Mike, do you have anything else? I think.
Nope, that's it.
Sorry to throw you a couple curveballs.
It's all good. I don't mind it. I was like, I had to think about that for a second.
Good questions, Justin.
But it's very good. It's very good.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you,
guys.
Dad. Donnie, in 1973, your dad teams up with Don Connors at the old Lakeside But their biggest accomplishment would actually happen in Pennsylvania when they win the Dry Power 400. What was so great about this win for them? And I understand it was something that had to do with the motor that they ran.
Well, back then, the story was, I was only 3 years old, but I've been told this more than once. That's basically when the small blocks were starting to come to circle track racing. That was a big block car, and everybody knows weight on a nose makes them not handle. And the level of competition, when you got Rusty Wallace and all the big, a lot of the Cup guys back then, they weren't Cup guys, but were coming up, you're racing against, some good racers. So when they won that race, and they weren't supposed to win it, and they won it by a lap, they failed.
Lap the field.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, that was a big, that was a big deal.
I know this is kind of speculation, but do you think any of your dad's drag racing experience with big blocks maybe helped him developing that motor?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
So he was familiar with that technology, so it wasn't anything that he didn't know about.
Right. It's been, and honestly, it even works. I teach people about it today. When our spec header will come out for our USRA, USMTS, that's basically the same combination I run in my street car 20 years ago.
Oh.
So it fit right in our, it's just experience. It's such old technology. It's still 23-degree headed stuff that people think that, wow, I got aluminum headed motor, but that stuff was designed in, 1957.
Wow. Okay. Vacations sometimes got a little racy when it came to your dad. I know you've got, I think, a couple of stories that you were telling us earlier about how these vacations went.
Well, I got a couple I can tell you. The first one was, I don't remember what year it was, but I was a little kid and my dad loved racing. It didn't make a difference if it was, dirt track, pavement racing, drag racing, circle track. He just loved racing. It was wintertime here. So we all wanted to get away. So he's thinking, hey, I can kill, two birds with one stone here. I can go see a race and have my family have their vacation. So he had this wild hair that he heard that there was a race in Phoenix, Arizona. So we drive from Kansas City to Phoenix. It took us 2 days. We get there and we can't find the racetrack. So we were asking around, hey, where's the racetrack at? And this guy at this gas station, sir, we only got one that's across the street. What ended up being a dog track. So we drove all the way to Phoenix to watch. We didn't go to the dog track, but that's what we drove out there to think we were going to a circle track race, and it was actually a dog race. The second one, we used to go to Speed Weeks every year, and I remember it was like yesterday. 1979, we had a Chevy half-ton long bed, and he put Krager wheels on it. Well, I guess something about the aluminum of the wheels back then, or the wrong shank on the lug nut or something, but we're coming down a mountain in Tennessee and broke the studs off one of the wheels. So this wheel passed us going down this hill or down a mountain. And most people would be, we're scared to death because me, my mom, and my dad in this, regular cab of a pickup. He don't hit nothing, so we get some help and jump on the guys in front of us in their car. But anyway, he actually leaves our brand new Chevy truck at a gas station, which he has no idea who they are. If we're going to have a truck when we come back, and we jump in, I think it's actually a friend of his or his brother's car at the time, go to Speed Weeks, and we come back, and we fix the truck on the way home. I'm like, dude, who does that? My dad.
No Disneyland or whatever it is down there, Disney World?
He's took us there before, but it wasn't that weekend.
Wasn't that weekend?
No, it wasn't that weekend.
Other plans. I think that's all I've got. Justin? I got one more.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
go ahead, yeah.
I'm sorry. Don opened the Burlington Performance Racing in Raytown in 1998. His involvement in all kinds of racing helped put his business on the map for serious racers looking for serious power. Donnie, is it a real secret to building these masterpieces of speed, or is it just making them reliable and then a few secrets that your dad knew?
I would say today, there's a big difference between when we started and today. Back in his day and when I first started, it was about knowledge, because it still takes the right combination to build whatever direction you want to go into for your racing program. So I think it was more harder to actually get a combination back then than it is today, because today you can just pick up the phone, call Chad Mullins or Sonny Leonard. If you got the money, you can buy power. I used to call it cubic dollar.
Yeah.
How fast you want to go. So yeah, I think it's still a dying breed. Don't get me wrong. Everybody can't do it, but it's just pretty much common sense. When it comes to making power.
Yeah.
Because like I said, you can just call somebody.
Mm. How was it working in the shop with your dad? I mean, we all know how sometimes fathers and sons don't always agree on stuff. Was it a problem, or did you guys just work through it?
It's funny that you brought that up because I don't remember what show. I think it was Orange County Chopper or whatever. And everybody's come on our shop. And don't get me wrong, I loved my dad and he was my best friend. But if you would just walk in our shop, you would think that we didn't like each other. Because it was either, ready for a brawl. We never got like in a fist fight, so I would never let it go there, or he wouldn't. But you would think that we didn't like each other because no, he taught me everything I knew how to do, but we had such a different opinion. I thought he was too slow and old-fashioned, and he just thought that that I thought I knew it all. But it was. We made the comment one time that we maybe need to quit building engines and make a TV show because we wouldn't be acting because this is real life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was definitely entertaining.
What was probably one of the biggest races that one of your dad's engines won, either drag or oval track?
Man, there's so many, but I would tell you the freshest one in my mind. That's when that Deuces Wild race at Lakeside, the USMTS race, Aaron won the second feature, and it felt so good for all of us because it's such an under budget team. With, let's face it, a no-name motor to some people. I mean, it wasn't a Mullins or Sputz, and don't get me wrong, them guys are my age. I mean, like I just said, it's not rocket science about it, but it was just an honor for us that we supposedly beat the best on that day.
Yeah. Whose car and motor was it?
That was Aaron Morant's GRT in our Burlington racing engine.
Yeah.
Donnie, if once this documentary is done and circulated out on the internet and social media and wherever else and makes its way through the universe, and if your dad was somehow able to see it, or if he's even watching right now, what are some things that you might want to say to him?
Man, I miss you and I love you. Pretty much sums it all up for me.